So this is a course about Skype messaging on Windows 10, and Skype is built into every version of Windows 10 as well as many other platforms. So let's have a look at the Skype account that you'll be using. So it is built in as the same login as your Windows 10 login. So if your Windows login is coolmyrtle@outlook.com, then the Skype login will be live:coolmyrtle, and the profile name for me will be David Cox. So you can find your contacts in Skype by the Skype account or by the profile name. So this is the Skype screen that you will find. I've got a shortcut down on the taskbar and I'll show you how to create that in a moment. And you can get into Skype by clicking on the Start button and scroll down through the programs, and Skype is part of your profile, and there it is, and that's where you'd find it on all Windows machines. So this is the Skype screen, and to set up your own profile you need to find these three dots up in the top left hand corner next to where your name is. I've already inserted a photo of me, and that's going to help your friends find you, and that goes in and that becomes part of your profile. So let's click on these three dots and see what we get in settings. So settings, first of all, is the profile picture, and that if you go to that, it will say, do you want to upload this, who can see it, public only or contacts only, so you can set it as being private. On the general tab you can then set a different theme, a different color, a language, your native language, or you can share it with Bing, because Skype is Microsoft and Bing is one of the Microsoft search engines. Audio and video allows you to look at the camera, which is me going through this particular session, and the microphone, which is also working. If I'm calling, then I can set up a caller ID, which will show at the other end. I can set up call forwarding and voicemail, which is disabled on this one. You can answer incoming calls automatically. Now that's something that you may or may not want to do. It depends on whether you want to be interrupted or not, but you'll certainly know when someone's calling you, but whether you answer or not is entirely up to you. And then you can have a little call window showing when Skype's running in the background, and I've got that set to on. And then you can only allow calls from your contacts. So if you've got a contact and they ring you, then you can set it so they're the only people that can ring you on this particular PC. And then emergency calls. I'm in the UK and emergency calls do not work on Skype, but there is a feature in Skype where you can actually call a telephone line, a landline or a mobile phone number from your Skype interface. Messaging, you can set messages, so you can leave messages for people who are in your contacts lists. You can have emoticons in there, web link previews in there, and you can then send your message with the enter key. All of these can be set either on or off. Notifications, the chat is where you can leave messages, reactions, tips and tricks, any sounds in there, all sorts of options just to improve the usability and to be able to personalize your chat interface. And then contacts, you can sync your contacts. These are people who are in your email list, which you may or may not want, so it's your choice, and mine is set to off. You can manage how people find you on Skype by doing that, and then you can have some blocked contacts. If people are becoming a nuisance, then you can set them to being blocked, and they will not then be able to contact you at all. So all of those things are in settings. So we'll come out of that, and now next thing we'll look at making a call. So if I select one of my other accounts, which is David Cox Trainer, then I've been running a few test calls on this particular machine, and I can then call from this one to my other account, or I can actually receive calls from that. And for this, so that the two machines are at least a few meters apart, I need to enlist the help of my wife, who will be phoning me or receiving calls. So let's try that. So first of all, I want to make a video call to my other machine, which will be answered by my wife. And to make that, I click on the video icon, which is in the top right hand corner. So let's give it a go. And then my wife has answered the call on the other end of this phone, and that's the way that it works. Now we'll ring off on that one. So now we'll try and make just a voice call, and that one you click on the little telephone icon. So this is audio only, so no pictures on this one. And then the call has been answered at the other end, and we can just talk to each other. So that's the way to make a call, either a video call or a audio only call. And now I'm going to show you what happens when you get an incoming call. So in the top right, we've got these two green buttons and a red button. If I don't want to answer this call, then I click on the red button. If I want to answer it in voice only, I click on the telephone button, and if I want to answer it video-wise, then I click on the video button. And when I get the response, then I get some more icons coming up, and in the bottom left, then I can actually share my screen with the person at the other end. I can take a snapshot of the pictures which are running at either end. I can send them a little emoticon to say hello and how I'm feeling. And on the plus button, there's more options, and I can start a recording. And the recording then goes into my timeline. So that's what happens when someone calls you. And when you finish with the overall call, then you can click on the red button, and that finishes everything. And finally, as well as making video calls and audio calls, we can just send a message, and at the bottom of the screen then we can type in here the message that we may want to send to our contacts, and in that message we can include files, money, transfer money, and we can also send video messages. So this is another feature of Skype that is useful, particularly if people aren't answering their Skype calls when you make them. And to cover the point that we made earlier about creating a shortcut, if we click on the Start button and we scroll down through our programs to the Skype entry and right click on that, select the More option, and we can then pin it or unpin it from the taskbar. And that's what puts it down here on the taskbar, so you don't have to surf your way through all of the program listings every time you want to make a Skype call.